So yes, welcome again to the sixth class already. So we are now almost halfway, and thank you also for the donations I've been receiving. It is very helpful in this time to make it possible. Thank you. And as usual, the questions or rather the answers they come at the end. No, at the end, I will look in the chat to see what questions are there. Maybe also from the exercises of past week, or maybe just about this class of today. So we've been seeing our meditation intention, and we've been talking about properly relaxing before actually starting the big work of concentration. But so first relaxing the body, the breath, the senses, the mind, and then concentrating the mind. And then, okay, we can move forward into a little more serious meditation, a little more stable meditation, and then a little more deeper meditation. So this subject will come later. I thought at this time it's better to first have a little look at life, at the lifestyle that is most suited to meditation and which will also be in itself supported by meditation. So that is actually very important, this relationship between the two. If you want to really develop a good meditation practice, then some changes in your life may be needed so that a lot of stress is avoided, that you are becoming more in tune with the natural cycles, and that your meditation also happens at the right time, and all these things which we will talk about today. And your meditation, of course, also then in turn will make it possible to make these changes and to be less stressed. And so this way we build up a certain power, let's say, a certain energy that you use to move further and further and further. So you cannot expect to move into very deep meditation just like that. You cannot also expect to change your life just like that. So whatever I am saying here, you have to understand as an ideal way to live in order to make meditation possible or fruitful. But this in itself should not become too much of a stress also. These changes in your lifestyle will also require time. And certainly you don't want to start fighting with your partner or the people living in your house to make these changes, because that in itself will not bring you a lot of peace. So slowly, I think you can move forward in that way also as you move forward in your meditation practice. So part of that actually also comes next week when we talk about a number of do's and don'ts in life, the famous yamas and niyamas. But so that will not so much be the topic of today. Today we'll mostly talk about lifestyle in terms of how you organize your life. And there the first thing, of course, that comes is the question how to find the time to meditate. From my experience with people, it's already quite good if they can find half an hour in a day to meditate. Some people can do more, especially maybe now in these times when people are in lockdown. They may have a lot of time, so we also suggest to use this time to do more than half hour of meditation if you can. But if you are working If you have many responsibilities, if you have kids, it's not so easy. I've lived that way such a long time. I know it's not easy, but it's still a matter of making time. The excuse of time is there, but it's also about making time and choosing where you spend your time. So if you are thinking you don't have enough time to meditate, maybe you need to have a look at how you spend your time. You have 24 hours in a day. So how do you spend it? How much time you spend on Facebook? How much time you spend in front of TV? How much time you spend in ways that are not bad, but might be replaced by some meditation. So that is important. Life should not be very serious. Life is not very serious, but a little bit of seriousness in this part of choosing to meditate, of choosing to give peace a chance, of choosing to give peace a moment in your life where it receives full attention, so that the rest of the day you can be more peaceful and more relaxed, and in that way also have a lot more fun actually, no? And be less stressed and be more happy. So you make time, you choose to make time, and you also choose to organize your day in a way that is logical and that also will, benefit you, so that at least you have one moment of the day in which you are used to meditating. This kind of pattern, to develop it, is very useful. And it goes a little bit against our feeling that we all want to be free and, like children of God, roam the earth free. And sure, I understand that, but children also, if you have raised children, then you know that for them also to have some kind of daily rhythm, to have some kind of typical schedule in the things that need to be done. You also know that children, they more easily work in that way, and we are not different in that. If every morning or every evening or whatever we are used to meditating, this will come also more naturally. Then we don't have to ask the question, oh, will I meditate or not? Or when will I meditate? If you always leave this question hanging, then very often you will not find time to meditate. But if you have the habit to always meditate at some particular time of the day, then everybody also in your household will know, and things will organize itself around it. So that is important. And of course, you decide, you are free to decide to do this. So nobody is taking away your freedom in this. You are choosing yourself to do this because you want to give peace a chance in your life, because you want to grow spiritually, and because you don't want to get frustrated, because we talked about that in the very first class, how all this spirituality, all this talk about yoga and meditation can make people become quite frustrated with themselves if they don't see themselves advance the way they could. Like if you read all these nice books and you see these lectures and you feel you understand the reality and you understand the illusion, and you understand that you should love everybody, and you understand that you should not be angry and things like that. But then in practice, if this does not work, if still you get angry, if still you get in trouble, if still you get stressed, then you become frustrated. And then a daily practice is the way out. At least then you know that you are working on it. You are not yet perfect, you are not yet there, but you are working on it. Every day you are taking one little step forward. So that will bring you also peace of mind and peace of, like ego, in the sense that you will be satisfied with yourself because you are doing the practice. So you see yourself as a work in progress, then you have some peace because you know you are moving forward. But that requires a daily practice, a habit of daily practice. But still, as I said, I understand time is not easy to find. So many other things asking for attention, so many jobs are always left undone. So, not easy. Sometimes you'll have to fight also with other people about it, that you need this time, that this time will allow you to perform better during the rest of the day. And for yourself, no, that this time means a certain peace of mind, both by the direct effect of the meditation, but also by the effect on how you look at yourself, how you are satisfied with yourself, because you are practicing. You can actually love yourself even though you are not perfect. And then the time, as I said, is not so easy, but there is also one little bit like magical formula to create time. Some of you will already have heard that story. They're now smiling. Magical formula. But it's actually very simple. Sleep less. And okay, people have some idea about how much sleep they need. In the West also, there's this general idea that people need 8 hours of sleep. But actually, we don't need that much. We don't need that much if we can live in a different way. So to go from one situation to the other situation is maybe a little difficult, but if you can be more peaceful in your life, if you can spend some time of the day, half hour, 1 hour, in meditation, then you will need less sleep. 6 hours for the average adult should be enough, not 8. That means 2 hours extra in a day. And how does it really work? Well, when we sleep, the depth of our sleep, it evolves from being very deep in the beginning to becoming less and less deep as we sleep longer. The longer we sleep, the more we dream, the more we have this rapid eye movement, the REM phase. And you know it because when on a free day, on a Sunday, you are sleeping a very long time, let's say 10 hours or something, then you have the experience of waking up in a very different state than normal. Normally, when people wake up, they're supposed to be quite refreshed. But when you sleep 10 hours, then you wake up like a zombie, very tired, heavy, maybe a little headache, That's because you've been dreaming so much. Your body has already done with the whole thing of sleeping. Your mind even doesn't need it anymore. Only you want to stay there in the bed. I understand it's very nice to sleep long for a time, I'm not saying you should do that, but you should learn from it that it's not because you sleep more that you are more rested. Actually, after 6 hours of sleep for an adult, most of the time that you sleep, you are dreaming. And dreaming is very exhausting. In dreams, maybe you are quarreling with somebody, you are chasing monsters or being chased by monsters, rather. Things happen which are quite tiring, and that's why if you sleep very long, that you wake up even more tired. But so the last part of the sleep, let's say between 6 and 8 hours, is not very useful for really giving you rest. If you can replace that by some meditation and some other relaxing practices, then you will find from your experience that you actually have more energy than before. So this is a little tough one, But I challenge you, or I ask you, I advise you, try this out. It'll be difficult for like 1 week or maybe two, but stick to it. Try this out to sleep only 6 hours. Like that means maybe 6.5 hours you are in the bed, allowing for half hour to fall asleep if that's what you need. That's a little different for most people. And then 6 hours you sleep. And then you wake up. But then the time that you have gained, these 2 hours, you're sure not to spend it on Facebook or anything else, which is again rather exhausting, but you spend it on activities which are relaxing for yourself, including meditation, including, I don't know, listening to some nice music or painting or doing some other thing, which is generally bringing you more relaxation. And you will find that you will have more energy. But it might take 1 week or two, during which you have to be very disciplined. Because if you feel then a little tired during the day, you take a nap during the day, then again you are disturbing this rhythm. You need to create a new rhythm in which you sleep about 6 hours. And if you do that, you will feel you have more energy. With exception maybe for people who do very hard physical work, like every day they are working outside in the fields or whatever, they may need a little bit longer. Their body may need a little bit more. Or the exception also for times when you are ill or something. No? When you are ill, you can even sleep during the day. No problem. No? So maybe then you really need that rest. But so this is the first thing. Make the time by choosing to make the time, and make the time by sleeping less. And you will see you will have more energy and you will have gained 2 hours. That's quite a lot, in which you can, do what you really want to do. Really practice that in which you believe it can bring you something useful and change your life completely. Because, of course, it's not even just about those 2 extra hours that you have and that you can spend on very relaxing things. It's also the effect that this will have on your life, making your life more relaxing and thereby again reducing the need for sleep. So that's why it takes 1 week or two, not just to get a different kind of rhythm or have your body get used to it, but also to have this effect of that meditation on your life, you being more relaxed at work with the kids or whatever it is that makes you tired. And so you'll be less tired and you'll be needing less sleep. So not so easy maybe. And so then when you do that, you have more time. Then the second thing to learn is to also tune in to some important natural cycles. So this is again something which we may feel a little bit resistance against. I'm talking about things like getting up before sunrise and, like respecting the energy of the day rather than just following our own path and expecting the energy of the day to adapt to us. So this is again about freedom. There's a fly here. I don't know where it came from, but it's very interested in the class also. Let me just check there's no other problems about the sound. No, sounds still good. Okay. So I'm usually not using these live classes to make people do some exercise at home, but I like to make an exception now with a very simple exercise, which you can do now as it works out for you. But for this, you have to stand up. So I can't see you. I don't know what's happening, but please all just for a moment stand up. And now lift up one arm, right? So I hope everybody is now standing up with one arm in the air. Now lift up another arm. So now you are standing up with two arms in the air. Okay? So now lift up one leg. So you're standing with your two arms in the air and one leg also up and one leg down. Okay? Right? And now lift up also the other leg. I hear a lot of people falling now on the floor. I think most people didn't try. You know that you are limited in that way, and that's what I want to demonstrate. So now you can just again sit down again or whatever you are. What is stopping you from lifting up two arms and two legs? Gravity. Gravity means the power of the planet Earth. So, however free you may want to be, you are not free. You are part of nature. And in nature, there are things there like the Earth or the Sun or the Moon or other planets, which are so much bigger than we are, so much more power they have. I just demonstrated the power of Earth. No? It stops you from flying. Without that power, you could flap your arms and maybe not as good as a bird, but you'd be able to fly. But that's the power of Earth. And the sun is so much bigger. Okay, it's also further away, but it's so much bigger. And it has this incredible strong light and heat also coming from it. Cosmic energies coming from it. And then you also have the moon. And as I said, the other planets, they also play a role. So they say that as above, so below. You must have heard this. And this is very, very true. We are influenced all the time by these heavenly, how you call that? Heavenly planets? No, that's another word I was looking for. But anyway, we are influenced by them. And if we don't accept that out of some idea of freedom, we're actually quite stupid. Harish Johari, my first teacher, he always used to laugh about that. How stupid we are in that way. Not to be able to accept this is an ego issue. That we are living in nature. And that we cannot go against nature. Even the nature of our own body, we cannot go against it. And it's very unhealthy to go against the nature of your own body. Like, for example, when you are meditating, but your body feels the need to visit the bathroom, then please visit the bathroom. Even if you have not finished the mala yet, or maybe if it's not so much left, okay, you can finish it, but don't let the body wait. It'll create trouble. It'll make you ill. So to respect those natural functions of the body, even if they are not socially so very accepted, like things like burping or whatever happens there in the body, you should let it happen. You should not so easily ignore it and think you are above it. And the same is with the rest of nature, that some cycles are there. And if you don't respect them, okay, you are free to do so. But if you respect them, if you really tune into them, then a lot of things in life will become more easy. There is not a chaos. Okay, it looks like a chaos sometimes, nature. It has a chaotic element. It's very important also, actually, this chaotic element. But at the same time, it's also a cosmos. There's also an order to it. There is a rhythm to it. There is a pattern to it. So we can best try to learn how to work with this pattern. And one of the patterns, for example, which is very important in relation to meditation, is the moon pattern. The moon going from new moon to full moon and back to new moon. Most people don't pay any attention, but I really advise you to put the moon calendar somehow in your agenda, on your mobile or wherever. There's apps to do that, so that you know when is new moon and when is full moon. Because your meditation will change depending on whether you are from new moon going to full moon or whether you are going in the period from full moon to new. In new moon, the lunar energy is very low because there is no moon. So that means that your emotions are actually relatively calm. You're not very passionate. Like on full moon, there the emotions are at the peak. There we are very passionate. Then it's very good to party, have sex, and all these things. Everything has to do with emotion will be most strong around full moon. But so that changes our meditation also. In the period around new moon, meditation is actually very easy. Because, as I say, the energy of the emotion is less. That means also mind is less active. So more easily to control it, more easy to reach some peace around new moon. But at the same time, new moon is also a time where we lack a little bit power, we lack willpower, we lack energy. So it's a time to make sure that we do not lose our sadhana, let's say. If we have a daily rhythm, if we have a daily meditation, then the time to lose it is around new moon. So if you don't want to lose it, then you pay special attention to it, making sure that you get up in time or whatever it is that is needed to keep your meditation going. So that is around new moon. Then around full moon, your willpower will actually be stronger, but your desire will be less, your attitude will be less suitable for meditation. You will be more easily interested in doing other things. And in that way also have to a little bit guard your meditation practice around that time. Is the time where you might become a little bit, too much involved in life and not wanting actually to withdraw from it, which is essentially what meditation is about. So to know these things is important. And what is especially important is that whenever you start a new kind of practice, whenever you start a real kind of sadhana, a real kind of spiritual practice, that it should be done, or let's say the best time to start it is between new moon and full moon, and especially around 1 week before full moon. This will be the best assurance that your practice will work. And actually, this period from new moon to full moon is the best time to start any new thing. Not starting on the day of new moon, maybe even leaving 1 or 2 days after new moon before, really starting a new business or starting a new writing or whatever it is you are starting new. To start this no sooner than 2-3 days after new moon, and also not after full moon. The day of full moon itself, you can still do it, but afterwards, maybe 1 or 2 days are still there where the energy is still high enough, but then very rapidly it goes down. So this is important to know. The lunar energy and meditation are very strongly related. Now, the solar energy also is very strongly related. It's the other side of our brain. So the sun also, it has enormous power. And there, of course, we have the cycle of night and day. night and day, which are really quite important. Like I think most people now they have experienced the jet lag, what it is. So when you go to another time zone, your system has a biological clock which needs to be reset, which need to readapt to the different time of night and day. So this shows very clearly how important it is, and many people experience quite some sleeping problems because of it. So if you want to have a regular sleeping pattern, it also shows you that it is best to have a time where you're used to waking up and a time where you're used to going to sleep. That is also important. It's not just the sun which is important there. So the main reason why you want to have some kind of daily rhythm is because the day already itself it has a rhythm, and so by adapting to it we make everything more easy. So as I said, what we're going to talk about today is like a little bit an ideal situation. It's not always possible to do it like that. You will also find in the home resources like an ideal day schedule. Okay, you can look at it, you can try it, you can try out different aspects of it, but don't try to change your life overnight. It's not always possible. So, what is this natural daily rhythm to which we can adapt? This, first of all, starts with the gunas. The gunas, which are the basic, let's say, modes of energy. For people who don't know, simply said, there is the very passive energy, tamasic energy. There is very active energy, rajasic energy. And then there is the energy which is neither very active nor very passive, but generally quite peaceful and happy. And that is the sattvic energy, that is the most spiritual energy. So the day also there, it has its own rhythm. In the morning time, until let's say about 2 hours after sunrise, the sattvic energy is the most available. This has to do with the prana in the air. When the sun rays starts reaching you, they change the prana in the air. So at that time they create a prana which you might say is neither too active nor too passive. So ideal for feeling sattvic. And ideal also for those practices like meditation which are sattvic in nature. So that is actually, spiritually speaking, a very important part of the day. Then, after about 2 hours after sunrise, until sunset, is the time for rajas, for activity. Then the prana in the air becomes more strong, more solar also, more action orientated. You might even say more male. So, okay, then is the time to work and maybe also have fun and do some other things. And then comes sunset. Again, the sun rays disappear. And then the energy becomes tamasic, which means the energy becomes more passive, and we usually have less energy. So actually, our natural emotions, they also follow this same sequence of the day. So in the sattvic time of the early morning, the Shanta rasa, the rasa of peace, is most easy to attain. And also Shringara rasa, which means togetherness, love, beauty. These things come quite easily then. We can make great art, we can play very nice music and all these things. We can make a great breakfast, all these things. So Shringara and Shanta are most dominant in the early morning. Then during the day, when the Rajasic energy is most strong, then is the time for action, for work. So there the courage rasa is most dominant. And the courage rasa is the feeling of strength which allows us to do things. You know, the feeling of confidence, the feeling also of concentration, which allows us to do things. And a rasa which also easily comes at that time is the hasya rasa, the joy rasa. So whether we work or whether we have fun, it depends. In one, we will maybe need more courage. In the other, maybe we'll have more fun. We'll have more joy. We'll be laughing more easily. And if we can combine those two, then life is good. You know, we can work and have fun and be active and joyful and strong. Another rasa which also easily comes during the day is anger. Yeah, precisely because we are working, we are trying to achieve something, we're trying to do something. So then we meet obstructions, and when we meet obstructions, especially those that we do not expect, then anger may come or some irritation may come. So that is something to watch out for during the day. And then as the sun goes down, and especially after the sun goes down, then the feeling becomes a little more one of weakness. So fear, worries can become more dominant. Vibhatsya, the rasa of dissatisfaction with oneself, disgust towards oneself, loss of self-confidence, it may come. And maybe also sadness may come, regret for whatever did not work during the day or something like that. So these are the rasas which come most easily in the evening, which means we kind of have to try to compensate for that. And the best compensation for these kind of negative or unpleasant feelings which show a lack of energy are Sringara rasa and Adbhuta rasa. Adbhuta rasa is the rasa of wonder, which also easily comes in the evening time because it is dark and so everything becomes a little bit more mysterious. The lights go down, the candles are burning. So this is a good time for Adbhut. And Sringara means togetherness, love, beauty, music. So the evening time, if we have the time, is best to spend, let's say, in togetherness, combined with art, music, everything which is uplifting. As the energy in the evening is a little bit down, we naturally do things that are uplifting. So maybe it means also just simply watching a good movie or telling a nice story or something like that. You know, stories always have this Adbhut, this wonder feeling inside of them. They are mysterious. So that is actually coming quite naturally. And then by the end of the evening, when we are preparing for sleep, then again, sometime, I would say at least 1 hour, spending on the Shantarasa, spending on maybe not meditation, we'll talk more about that, but spending on things which are peace-giving, which are relaxing, which are preparing you for sleep, they are most suitable. So you have a complete sheet in the home resources on the Lila Yoga website that you can look at and see, okay, how can I adapt my life to a little bit be more in tune with nature and in tune with what naturally happens. And you will find also many other little details there that may come in handy to create the right energy for whatever it is that you want to do. So now we'll go a little bit more in detail about your daily schedule. And in that, the morning is most important. In India, they are very aware that to do something, you need to have a good start. If you already started in the wrong way, then how to make it good? So they pay very much attention in everything that they do to the beginning. That's also why, like often when they begin something, they start with some ritual. They start with making sure the energy is in good way before they start. So that way, the morning also should be like a kind of ritual that assures that whatever follows during the day has the best possible outcome because it has been started in a good way. And I would say, look at yourself, be honest there with yourself. How do you start your day? Mm. A lot of people start the day in a very stressful way. I think the most important thing that is in today's class is the following advice. This advice is make sure that you have at least 1, but preferably 2 hours in the morning before you have to start to work or to run to work. And many people do this in a different way. We have this culture in which we really like, I also like, to stay up late in the night. And then we usually get up relatively late in the morning and we get up, we shower, we have coffee, and whoop, we're off to work. Yeah, if you want a stressful day, that's how to start it. Your system comes from sleep. It needs time to wake up. It needs time to get in this more active mode. It comes from the most passive mode. So it needs time to come out of sleep and adapt, and then slowly, slowly. So the best thing you can do to ensure more peace in your life, even better than meditation, is to have 1 or better 2 hours in the morning spent on peaceful things, relaxing things, enjoyable things that might also include playing some music or listening to some music or whatever, walk in the garden, anything from which you know that it is relaxing. Having the time to have a nice breakfast also, you know, all these things before you start actually this rat race, this work, this stressful driving in traffic jams or going through busy train stations or whichever way you go to work. It's one of the reasons why I prefer to work at home. But anyhow, that's another story. So that is the main thing. Take 1 or 2 hours before rushing off. You will benefit from it. Your relationships with the people with whom you live will so much benefit from it. Children will so much benefit from it if they are not rushed. How many parents are having a fight every morning with their children to rush them into action instead of, waking them up a little bit earlier so that there is time for them to wake up and become accustomed to whatever life requires from them. But first be able to spend some nice time together, maybe, or reading something nice, or having something inspiring going on in the early morning, so that you start your day in an inspired fashion and not in such a stressful session. So that is the first thing. Now, the second thing then is, if you can do it, to get up before sunrise. Now, in India, that's not so difficult because in most places in India, Sunrise time is quite stable during the year because they are more near to the equator, let's say. So maybe the difference in sunrise time from summer to winter is maybe only 1 hour or 1.5 hours, not so much, not so difficult to adapt to that and make sure that you're always uh, waking up before sunrise. Now in Belgium, where I live, is already quite different. Sunrise in the summertime is 5:30 in the morning. Sunrise in the winter time is maybe 8:45. So 8:45, yeah, that's already very late. Most people are already, off to work. No time to meditate around sunrise. And 5:30 is quite early to get up, especially since you need to get up a little bit before sunrise. So yeah, it's hard. Uh, Here in Belgium, I usually do it most of the year, but then there is part of the year, midsummer time, where I just don't do it. It's just too much to try. So it's up to everybody. If you're living in the north, like Scandinavia, you might not have a sunrise for 2 months. I know, in winter time. So it's different. Everybody has to adapt. But if you can be waking up before sunrise, it is very, very important. It is counted actually among one of the 14 main obstructions to yoga, not being able to get up before sunrise. So it is very important because the sun really is very important, and the time of sunrise is a very, very special time. We already see it with the animals. About 1.5 hours before sunrise, a first wave of energy comes, which wakes up most of the animal world. We are the, almost the only ones who keep sleeping. But already 1.5 hours before sunrise, some birds will start moving and making sounds. Not yet making a lot of sound, but you can see that they are awake and preparing for what is to come. And then what is actually to come is about half hour before sunrise. There is a second wave of energy coming. And this is where all the birds start singing. This is very important for the system in many different ways. The first way is that at this moment, also Western science agrees with that the blood becomes very thin. So the blood circulation becomes very, very good. The blood can really penetrate into the finest of arteries, blood vessels, to the very fine hairy blood vessels it can penetrate. It can really like flush the whole system. So this is the time where your system gets like cleaned, or at least where everything in your system gets recirculated. So then, especially in Ayurveda, but also in yoga, it is very much advised that before that happens, you have been to the bathroom. So that all the shit, let's say, is out. Because if the blood thins and the blood more easily penetrates all the small vessels, then also the uptake from toxins from the intestines will increase. So therefore, very good if you can go to the bathroom before that, get rid of all that and be, let's say, completely cleaned out before this recirculation starts. This will be very helpful for your health, but also very helpful for your inner peace, because all these toxins, they create a stress on your body. They're called ama. And so if you can get rid of that, so much easier. And then we have the moment of sunrise itself, called Brahma Muhurta, the time of the nectar of life, the time of Brahman also. Amrit, Amrit Bela, the nectar of the early morning. So then many things happening. already starting these 30 minutes before sunrise. So that means this, we are here, the sun is coming here above the horizon, slowly, slowly. And now the sun and the earth, they both have a kind of gravity. So the gravity of the earth pulls our body down, and since we are so close to the earth, the sun cannot really lift us up. But some of the airs in the body are being lifted up by the solar gravity, you can see. And especially the pure pranic airs. While the more heavy apanic airs, which assure the downward movement of everything in our body, also urination, defecation, and so on, they are more being pulled by the earth. So what actually happens naturally is that when the sun comes above the horizon, then prana and apana, they are separated. Apana is pulled by the earth, but the prana is lifted up by the sun. If we are sitting upright. If we are lying down, apana is here, prana is here, sun is pulling like this, earth is pulling like this, but they will stay mixed. So also in that way, the practice of being awake at sunrise, to be straight at sunrise, not lying down, means that your energy system will get every day a cleanup. The dirty energy, let's say the apana, and the clear energy, the pure energy, the prana, will be separated quite nicely from each other if you are in an upright position. And then another thing which happens around sunrise is to do with our nostril dominance. Now, what does this mean? We already talked about it in the class on breathing. But for those people who were not there, I'll repeat shortly. If you inhale through the nose a little bit strongly, then you will feel on one side, like for me at the moment in my right side, more coolness is coming. So that means that this nostril is more open than this one. This is called nostril dominance. So this is something which changes naturally during the day. And the best time to meditate actually is when both are equally dominant. Then our neutral energy is activated. Our neutral energy, which kind of stops the interaction between left and right hemisphere. I'm not going to talk all about it because it's a long story. I could talk 1 hour about it. But believe me, at the time of sunrise, the right-left nostril dominance will be exchanged for quite a bit of time by a neutral situation in which both nostrils are equally dominant, in which the Sushumna Nadi related to the third eye is activated and your energy naturally becomes neutral, and it is simply said much more easy to be peaceful and not to think. So much more easy to meditate. Now we have this practice of alternate nostril breathing where we also try to achieve this goal. We talked about that. But so here around sunrise, this comes quite naturally. So this is another time, another reason at that time to meditate and be awake. So, but as I said, depending on your time zone, this may be difficult or easy. But if it is easy, if there is not much difference between winter and summer, again, this is life-changing. To be awake, at least I would say 45 minutes before sunrise, so that you can go to the bathroom before 30 minutes before sunrise. And then if you can, meditate also around sunrise. It's life-changing. It will really help you a lot. So, but if possible, yes. If not possible, then we can still try to make the whole waking up process and morning process as suitable as possible. So then you wake up preferably with an agreeable sound, not with some really like aggressive sound from an alarm clock. Nowadays, these are, some of the luxuries that we have now, no? With the mobiles or other things which can wake us up with some nice music is very good. So then you wake up, and one of the most important things to do is immediately to sit up. Why is this important? Well, to sit up means your energy can move up. While you are lying down, your energy is aligned with the earth. It cannot move. The moment you sit up, your energy can move up, which also means your awareness can move up, which means that, the mental state in which you are will be much better. So if the alarm goes and you switch it off and you start waking up while lying down, then your mental state, when then finally you get out of bed, will be very different compared to a person who woke up and immediately was sitting up. You will be more focused, you will be more peaceful if immediately you sit up. And if you are in this process of trying to get up early and trying to get up before sunrise, then sitting up immediately after you switch off the alarm is also the best way to make sure you don't fall asleep again. So it also has a practical aspect to it. So you sit up. Usually we prefer to lie down a little bit more, also because of the comfort of being in this warm bed. So if that is the case, if maybe it's a little bit cold out, in the room, then when you sit up, you pull your blankets around you and you keep them there. So you still have this nice warm nest feeling of the bed, but not lying down, sitting up. Then try to avoid immediately to start thinking about everything. Try to keep some inner silence if you can, we talked about that in last class. If you have this ability to stay silent, then at that moment, your ability should be very strong. So use it. Sit up, be silent if you can. Maybe focusing here in the heart chakra, feeling the prana being exchanged upon inhale, exhale. Try not to think for as long as you can. Maybe it's only 10 seconds. Okay, it's good. If you feel you can't, keep it, then I advise if you use a mantra in your meditation to also use it there, and then you use the magical 11 times to do it. So just getting up 11 times, you do Gayatri mantra, Bhairav mantra, Kali mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, whichever Jesus prayer, you do it. And you keep your eyes closed. So you get up, you sit up, keep your eyes closed, try to be in peace, or do some mantra after. And then when you open your eyes, this Harish Johari, for example, thought was very important. The first thing you see should also be something nice. He advised to put some flowers always near the bed, so that the first thing you see are these flowers. Or something white, a white cloth, for example, is also good to look at first. These are small things which help you, in your development. So, and then before you get out of the bed, you want to make sure that you don't step out of the bed with the wrong leg, as we say. But I mean this actually very literally. You check before you get out of the bed your nostril dominance. If your left nostril is dominant, then you get out of the bed with the left leg. That's the first foot you set on the floor. If the right nostril is dominant, you get out of bed with the right leg. And that is the first one to touch the floor. These are things hard to explain. This is part of Swar Yoga, but why not do it? If it can happen. So then you are out of the bed. The best thing is if your meditation can come as soon as possible afterwards, only needing a little bit of cleaning before you do that. So that is the best way. So that from sleep, you do not get involved first in any other kind of activity. You, as rapidly as possible, go towards meditation. Now, some cleaning, as I say, it still has to happen. So, yeah, you go to the bathroom and urinate, defecate. If there is some constipation, maybe you can sit in Virasana on your knees for a few minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, so that the constipation goes, making sure your back is nicely hollow. That will make it happen. Or you can have a walk in the garden, maybe barefooted. It's also very helpful for, morning bowel movements. And a little trick I learned also is that if it's difficult, then 2 fingers you press on the lower spine and a little bit along the tailbone also. So if this is the spine, you press here on the skin downwards, like this, along it, maybe for about a finger length. And that will push any vata which is blocking the system out, and that way you can more easily go. Anyway, to get the bowel movement thing becoming regular again is a little bit a matter of practice, habit, your body being used to get up at the same time, to go to the bathroom, all these things naturally happening without any problem. It's a matter of rhythm, it's a matter of teaching your body to do it. And so in the beginning, it may be a little bit difficult. So now you don't want to start drinking coffee, black tea, anything too much exciting that will disturb your meditation. You also, if possible, avoid contact with other people, don't start talking. You certainly avoid your mobile and Facebook and the news, you don't want to do that. You want to go as fast as possible to meditation. You could take a shower, but that is sometimes maybe a little bit too much waking you up. You want to stay in a very calm state. So basically, you do the pancha snanam, the 5 baths as they are called, where you wash your face, your eyes, your nose. You can blow your nose if you feel it's needed. Wash your mouth, wash your teeth, hands, feet. So that you are refreshed, but not too much waken up by taking a shower. But that's still also an option, Then a good alternative to coffee is water. Maybe hot water or lukewarm water. Maybe water that has been standing outside during the night, so-called moon water. This fly is really very interested. So that is also a very good practice. Moon water is very, very calming, very, very cooling, very, very good preparation for meditation. One thing which you can also do is make some funny faces in the mirror, to relax your facial muscles. And then I think, okay, you are more or less ready to go for your meditation. Where, as I said, it will be the most easy to meditate, the most easy to concentrate, and you will have the natural Sushumna breathing, which comes then around that time. So quite something, and in the home exercises for this week, you will see there is a second page which advises you to do this kind of wake-up ritual at least once this week, to at least have once this experience, to do it like that. Maybe on a day where you are free, I don't know, where nobody is stopping you also from doing it, maybe your kids are away, I don't know. You try to find a way. But it's important to have this experience so that you see the difference. Oh yeah, when I do it like this, then my meditation really is more fruitful. So then after meditation, what comes naturally is sun salutation, no? Because the sun has arisen, how we say that? Followed maybe by some more asana, pranayama, and so on. After which then naturally comes your daily shower or bath. And if you do not have a daily habit of showering the whole body, please, I advise it, do it. It's not just about, dirt and smelling. It's also about energy. Water has a very cleaning effect on your energy. It will rinse off not just what is on the surface, it will also rinse a lot of excess energy and tension from your body. So it's even quite advisable if you have a stressful job to take a shower also after work. Just 1 minute, 2 minutes, let the water run, and it will take a lot of stress down the drain. Daily bath, put on some fresh clothes, at least the underwear, but generally advisable, you don't want to put on the energy of yesterday, you want to put on some fresh clothes. Then is also the time to have maybe a small moment of intention, not meditation intention, but sankalpa, the real intention for the day, where, maybe through a prayer, through some ritual, you are really also expressing your desire to have a good day and maybe to be more nice to your boss or something, I don't know. You can personalize it, but you might also have something which comes back every day. The chanting of Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, this thing where you wish well to everybody, this comes very naturally at that time in many Indian cultures. So then, okay, you are totally ready. Then you can have a breakfast. And since you are in the morning, and since the morning is quite sattvic, then normally speaking, breakfast also should be rather sattvic. That means light, easy to digest, not too heavy. But that will depend also on the work that needs to happen during the day. Of course, if your work is quite physical or requires quite simply a lot of energy, then you also need more rajasic foods. No? But try to avoid anyhow the very heavy foods. Try to avoid anything which is difficult to digest. Basically, like proteins, this is not the time to take a lot of protein. But okay, you may need some of it, but easy to digest. So then, okay, after breakfast, maybe time to a little bit clean up the house. And then, if you have the time, and in the beginning I suggested to make sure you have the time, you then have little time like holiday. Start your day day with some holiday. Start your day with your hobby, with being together with the other family members, maybe with playing some music, doing something nice, painting, whichever is nice to do, some holiday. And then after you have taken that little part of the day for yourself first, then you start the work. And that'll make a total change. Usually we take our free time at the end of the day, when we are already exhausted from work, where our energy naturally becomes inert, tamasic, where we are not very easily inspired, where we are not easily creative. That is such a shame. So go to sleep a bit earlier, get up a bit earlier, so that that first part of the day is yours and can be used for things like meditation, but also art and so on, which require creativity, so that there you have already a satisfaction. Even if you just spend half an hour on some music or some painting, but it has given you a joy, it has given you a satisfaction, your day is already, it's already good. Then, okay, you go to work. So it's a different way of thinking. So then during the day, okay, you do your work. And if you can, you might also during the day do some more asana, pranayam, but always before food. We talked about that also. So maybe before lunch, a little bit of that, or a little bit of running or some other sport is quite good. Most people these days, they have 3 meals a day. They have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you want to have a more sattvic life, where the energy naturally is more sattvic, you might also switch to 2 meals a day. But that's hard in this society. Very hard, because everybody is having a different schedule and you're then having this schedule. But so if you are on a holiday, maybe, if you are in a time where you are spending more time maybe on meditation and really trying to move forward, you might reduce the number of meals to 2 in a day, so that there is more time where your body is not digesting. Because when the body is digesting, this is bringing a different kind of energy. It is using energy, so then naturally the tamasic energy becomes more strong. When we have less meals, then we have more time where the energy is stable, and so the sattvic feeling, the spiritual feeling, can more easily develop. But so I say, it's not so easy in society today to do that, so don't bother if it's too much trouble. But one thing which you definitely can avoid, and which is very good to avoid, are in-between snacks. In-between snacks are really a big problem, because they keep your digestive system active the whole day. Your food of lunch is barely being digested, and already some new thing comes in. Again, your system restart. So the biochemistry that this creates is really not very suitable for a spiritual life. So yes, I'm asking a lot maybe now to some people, but avoid in between snacks. Give your system, give your digestive system a break, so it can also clean itself out. When you are not eating for some time, then like in fasting also, the system will start cleaning up all that remains in the system. So your intestines, your entire digestive system will be so much more clean if you avoid in between snacks. which then also means there is less toxins coming in the body. You know? And less toxins means less stress. And so, these are all, how you say that, triggers which we can use to change, to transform ourselves. Another thing to avoid is sleeping during the day. The energy during the day is really not good for sleeping. So when you sleep during the day, then dreaming will be more strong. And that again then will lead to, I would say, mental instability. And apart from that, if you sleep after food, like many people like to do, it's really also not good. I know the feeling comes, no? Because of the digestion, you become more tamasic, and so you want to have a rest. It's natural, but it really upsets your digestive system. And you also feel that if you've been sleeping after food, you wake up, then the taste in your mouth will be very bad. And probably the smell coming out of your breath is going to be very bad. So that means your digestion has been disturbed. So, okay, maybe after midday meal, if you're a little bit drowsy, you can maybe close the eyes for a while. You can maybe, rest for a while, but avoid lying down and especially avoid sleeping. You can also have a little bit of a rest after food without sleeping. And actually, after food, like after lunch, we need to not immediately go back to work. This may also not be possible for many people, but if you can avoid it, give your system at least 1 hour after food so that you can focus on digestion. And this is again a good time to be together, to talk. Joking and laughing are actually very digestive. They bring a fire which helps the digestion. But so you can also a little bit again spend it in some hobby, some nice thing, entertainment, maybe a little walk. Nothing excessive, certainly in terms of physical movement, because at that time you don't want to upset your digestive system. Now, as we are talking about food, I remember I promised one of you in an earlier class that in this class we would talk about food, because I thought, okay, this subject is related to life. So, but when then I was preparing this class, I was realizing, wow, this is too much. Anyhow, I'm already talking a long time again. So I cannot really talk about food, except I'll say two things. Food should be fresh. It's extremely important. If you eat food which is dead, which comes from the freezer, then I'm not saying it cannot happen, but if you do this very regularly, and if very regularly you do not eat freshly cooked food, your energy will go down. You will have the energy, the starch, the fats, the proteins to live, but your life will become more tamasic. Your life will become more inert. You will not be a very inspired person. So I'm sorry, but the junk food, the fast food, the old food, the dead food, it has to go and has to be replaced by fresh food. And the second thing is that, especially also if you're a vegetarian, you need to control vata. You need to control the wind element, otherwise you will get gases and nervousness. And there you have to look it up. I advise to use one Indian spice called hing, which is known in Latin as asafoetida, and which you can find in every Indian food store, and which you can use with all the foods that are gas producing, like beans and lentils and onion and leeks and cabbages and all these things, which are producing a lot of gas. But if You first fry them a little bit in some vegetable oil or ghee together with a little bit of hing, then that effect will be largely gone. So that's a huge change once you start doing that. Anyway, I thought about the whole food story, and there's so much to tell there. I think I'll have to start a series on food. One day, I promise I will do it. But that will require a little bit different setup, I think, with the kitchen where I can show how to do things. Then we can teach a little bit more about food. But so now I just limit it to fresh food and use of hing to avoid gas. Then, okay, the work is done, late afternoon, early evening, and we come from work. That is really the time to relax. Everything that we have talked about in relaxation, apart from being able to be used as an introduction to meditation, it also definitely there has a major role to play when you come home from work, because work is quite stressful usually. I mean, maybe for some people it isn't, but for most people it is. And so then you want to get rid of that stress before you start the evening. It's such a pity actually that people come home, they are stressed, and immediately they want to enjoy the evening. They want to escape from this stress by putting on TV or something like that. But actually, if they just take 10 minutes to get rid of this stress, then they'll enjoy the evening so much more. So we use breathing for that. We use the corpse pose exercise for that, for which I made a video some sessions ago. If you haven't seen that, have a look. It's a very, very relaxing exercise. There may be other things like walking in nature or whatever, but somehow or other you need to spend a little time. It usually does not take so much time to get rid of that gross energy of stress. The more subtle things, that's different. But the gross energy, very easily you can breathe it out, you can guide it towards the floor and so on, so that you are rid of it. And one thing which I also very much advise at that time is singing. Singing is again another way to release emotional stress, to express emotion, and to bring peace after a day's work. It's actually very nice also to do in the early morning, but it will be very different then. But at that time, I just take my guitar or ukulele and, I do some bhajans or I do some English songs or other songs, Dutch songs, songs I've written myself or whatever, but to just 1, 2, 3 songs, releasing some stress again makes the rest of the evening so much more enjoyable. So I was actually planning to now take my guitar and sing a bhajan for you, but I did a test about it and it does not work at all with the sound. So I'm not going to do that. But while I was preparing for the class, I thought I have to do something then. So I've put some material online, which we were singing together with the group last year on the Yoga Live Festival. You find it also with the home resources. So if you are not used to singing, for people who are already singing, no matter. No? But if you are not so used to singing, please, this week, at least once, try. This video is about half hour. Just put it on, put the sound up, and sing along. The text comes on the video, very easy to understand, very easy to do. And just sing along, sing your heart out, let this emotion out. See what it does to you, see how you feel afterwards. And once you've had that experience, I hope you'll more have a habit to do this. And you don't even have to wait till you are home from work to do this. already in the car, you put on some music, but be sure not only to listen to the music, but sing along, sing along, and especially sing some happy songs, some happy feeling, let it come out, create it at that moment, and it will be so beneficial for your whole system and your life. So then we arrive at sunset, yes, sunset, sundown, I was going to say, which is not the same importance of sunrise. Like at that time, it's not that, you have to meditate or anything like that. But it is a time where the spiritual world, about which we'll have to talk a lot about more in another class, but in which the spiritual world becomes more active. Sunset. So to make sure that you attract there the right energies, it's the best time also, or a very good time, to burn some incense. Incense, or maybe use some nice essential oils and evaporate them, and offer them to the energies, the divine energies, and that will create a good atmosphere for the evening. If you really can't connect with this sort of idea, just do it and wait for my explanation later. So then we have the evening, and as I explained, you can be a little bit more easily down in the evening, or a little bit more worried maybe in the evening, or something like that. Well, just try to have a good time, especially together with people, with the family or some friends they come to visit, or whichever, have some fun, have a little party, have some nice music, have some movie, have some nice book, whichever gives you good feeling at that moment, it comes in. And then comes, as I said, this last 1 hour before you go to sleep, where you should really make sure to calm down. I treat a lot of people with sleeping problems. And of course, sometimes sleeping problems, they also have totally different causes. But in many cases, I can say people are themselves causing these sleeping problems. Because until they go to bed, even during, while already being in bed, they are watching on their mobile or iPad or computer or, this screen. These screens, they are continuously flashing, they are keeping you awake. You can read about that, melatonin and all that, so keep away from the screens for the last hour before you go to sleep. And especially if you have difficulty to fall asleep, then definitely you need that time. Then also foot massage, which you can do yourself if nobody is available. It's quite easy to do on yourself. It's very, very good. It helps you to fall asleep. And it can also be a good time to meditate. It's a different kind of energy, compared to the early morning. But especially when it gets quite late, like 11, 12, 1 o'clock, the whole world is asleep. The common mind field, you might say, again, is more calm. And the spiritual energies, they are quite active, but in a good way. So at that time, also meditation can be quite fruitful. But if you are working hard during the day, then probably by that time you will not have the energy to do it. You will not be able to concentrate. You will be ready for sleep. So it depends a little bit on your lifestyle. But if you feel in the evening you have the energy and you feel like meditating, it might also work very well. But I would say yes, starting from around 11 or midnight, that is a good time actually also to meditate. So then, okay, you go to sleep, and in the morning, again, same thing starts. So this way we've been going through a little bit the whole day. I'm sorry I've been talking a long time. What is there more to say about the exercises of this week? You can download that PDF file on the website. And you will see that for the daily meditation, I have not changed anything except one thing compared to last week. Last week, you had the choice between three kinds of meditation: one more bhakti, emotional, one more jnani, rational, one more karma yogi, like as a service to mankind. And last week I said, okay, maybe you already know what you prefer, but if not, try out this, try out that, and play around with it. So now for this week, I thought best thing now is to say, again, you have this choice between these three options, but now you have to make that choice. I want you to choose now. You have enough information, you have enough experience of the past weeks. Now I want you to choose one of these directions. Now we are done zapping and trying this out. Now you choose one of these directions, and for the rest of the week, you do it. You will still have some other weeks in which some other experiences come, but at least now for the second week, try to do this and, get some experience with it, get some, how you say that, skill in it by doing it again. But on the second page of the home exercises, you get some supplementary things, which are: one, to try once to get up before sunrise and meditate around sunrise and do this the way I describe it. And two, if especially you are not used to singing, to at least once for half hour sing the bhajans that are mentioned there, and where you get the link also to the YouTube video. And yeah, that's it. So one is to try this nostril thing around sunrise, so be sure to be there. The other one is to try this beautiful way of waking up and preparing for meditation, described originally actually by Harish Johari in his book Dhanvantari, in the chapter called The Glory of Waking Up. Beautiful, beautiful chapter he wrote there. So I just synthesize it in the most simple way, and then it laced the bhajans. So I think that explains about everything. Let's see for the questions that are there, and in the meanwhile, thank everybody for being here. Thanks for the donations, and let's see what are the questions. The first question here is from Vital. How to attain samadhi? We trained only in theory, difficulty in tasting divine grace. Well, samadhi, it comes in one of the next classes. I don't know exactly which one, but there we'll talk about deep meditation. I'm not saying you'll attain it that easily, but at least I can explain how to get there, and then it's up to you. Samadhi is something not so easy to get, but everybody can get it. But the conditions have to be also a little bit good. Happy Healthy Cooking and Lifestyle says, yes, 2 meals are difficult. Giving up binging is difficult. I've tried to replace binging with eating fruits instead, but craving for salt, I land up munching snacks. Yes, I know. When I was saying it, I knew some people would find this a very difficult story. Maybe they shut down the computer at that time. I don't know. But Yeah, this craving for salt or sweet, or this craving to always have something uh, on your tongue to please your taste buds all the time. It is learned, or you can get rid of it by fasting, food fasting for some time. And I would say also by learning to enjoy the taste of water. Mhm. If you tune into it, water has the most miraculous taste, the most beautiful taste. So that may also be a way to go. To have always a glass of good fresh water near you, and whenever you feel like munching something, take a sip of water and enjoy the taste of water. This works for me quite a lot. So Maria then asks, what meal do you recommend to skip breakfast? Yes, I wasn't too clear actually about that. No, don't skip breakfast, but maybe breakfast becomes a little bit bigger, no? And in the schedule that I was advising, it comes a little bit late, no? Because before the breakfast, you meditate and maybe asana, pranayam, shower, the whole thing. So it becomes maybe, yeah, depending on what time you get up, 8, 9, 10 maybe even, breakfast comes. And then the second meal, that would come then around 5, 6, before sunset. Actually, after sunset, again, as I said, the energy is low. So also digestive energy is low. So it's better to eat actually while the sun is still up. So that's what we used to do when Harish Johari was giving some workshop, and we would spend some week with him or 10 days. Then there would be two meals, one around 9, a good breakfast, let's say, and then another one around 5. And once you get used to that system, it's very, very, very good. Then Happy Healthy Cooking says, oh, no sleeping during the day, no power nap. Yeah, I know. Power nap, yes, 10 minutes, no more, 15 maybe, and not lying down. But maybe in a chair, you are a little bit like this, resting. Okay, possible. But definitely no lying down. Veronique, when I start a day like you describe it, it is very difficult for me to be as involved, motivated, concentrated, etc., as I like to be with work. I have a feeling that it is either being at peace or being energetic enough to take the challenges of work. It's an interesting subject, but I think you have a little bit wrong understanding of it. I mean, you are talking from your own experience for sure, and I understand it. No? When you are spending a little more time in meditation and feeling really nice and peaceful, then it's hard to shift to the energy of work where you have to be more active and interactive and all these things. And likewise, after work, it's more difficult to again feel peaceful, nice. So, but this is not because it is more difficult that it cannot be done. It's mostly our attachment which makes it difficult. When we spend more time on meditation and on having a really nice waking up and morning time, we get attached to it. So we don't feel like going to work. We might even, if possible, delay going to work. We might not go to work at all because we've become attached to it. But so this is a choice always, no? And some work also needs to be done, but some time for peace also needs to be there. And to make the shift, let's say, also in your heart, in your feeling, is a little bit a matter of, I would say, exercise and confidence also. In both ways. It's not because you come from a very nice, peaceful morning that you cannot then, when you are at work, really be there and really be on top of everything. It's totally possible, but you have to set your mind to it. And same way, it's not because you come from a very stressful work or day that you cannot really calm down and come again to this purely sattvic feeling. This is all in your mind. You know, you have to choose, and you have to have a little bit experience, confidence, know what works for you, you know, and use these things. So it will grow. It will grow. But sure, it's like when you come back from holiday, you don't want to go to work. It's the same. It's the same problem. So sure, series on food. What about waking up with the sound of bomb in the air or some clap sound coming from inside? Sometimes. What is that? I don't know what you mean with the sound of a bomb in your ear. Sounds awful. We are talking about some kind of tinnitus, like kind of beep, but beep and the sound of a bomb is not the same, or is it? Some clapping sound. Anyhow, if you have strange sounds in your ear, there's a very small chance something's wrong with your ear. So you might want to check that. But most of these things, they are stress related. They are sounds created by your nervous system. And so you might need some work. Some special healing also can be done for tinnitus. Singing, yeah, Regine, of course, is she's one of the people there in the video. When you say to sing at night, do you mean mantra or any music? So here, when I was talking about singing, I was meaning more music, more uplifting, you know, maybe some very peaceful mantra before going to sleep. That is also possible. But so in the evening time, as I say, the energy is a bit down. So you need to bring it up and create some, you know, really action. Um, thank you, thank you. Then what to do when Sushumna is working both nostrils? Should we start chanting? Not really. Chanting when both nostrils are in balance, Sushumna is there, is the time to meditate, is the time to stop action, is the time to hold still. So this is really, you know, water has a beautiful taste. Yes, yes, you have mentioned 14 obstacles to yoga. Where can we find out what the other 13 are? You find that in Patanjali Yoga Sutras. From what you told us about the moment of waking up, I understood that stretching in bed before sitting up wouldn't be recommended. Is that true, or is it okay to do some stretching before sitting up? Well, that depends on what you mean with stretching. I mean, sure, you know, to do like this is very natural when you wake up, and I think it's also a good thing. Since it comes very naturally, it means your body needs it. But any more physical activity in the bed, I would not do before you have gone to the bathroom. No? The more you do with your body before you have been properly going to the bathroom, the more these toxins are going to be circulated in the body. But yeah, before that, sitting up a little bit, it's normal. It's normal. Maybe you've been lying on one arm, needs to a little bit get loose, sure. Stretching legs, laying down, torsion, yeah, these things, Little bit, but when I see you talking about torsion, doing this with your belly still full of shit is not a good idea. So wait with all that special stuff, and especially with putting any pressure on the belly area until you have gone to the loo, no? Until you have gone to the bathroom. All right. I think the questions are done. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, and enjoy the weekly exercises and enjoy the bhajans and everything.